Hello, and thank you for joining me today here on Plan to Paint. We've been working on this 4-part series of this teddy bear and rose. We've broken it up over 4 parts, so we did the pillow, the teddy bear, the rose, and now we're going to fill in the background and the tabletop. So we're going to start off by mixing out our colors here. We have a blue tabletop where the light's hitting it the most is right around in here is where it's brightest. And so we're going to mix that value and hue, and then we're going to bring it down to some of the lights further away. And then we will mix the shadow values for around the bear back in here, and we'll mix our background color. We're going to fill in the background first, and then we'll do the tabletop. So I'm going to bring down some of my Chev Blue light. And into that, we're going to bring down some of our ultramarine blue. As you can see, we're mixing them here. We got those two colors, they blend really well together, they play well together. And we're going to need more than that for our tabletop. As you can see, we're already getting a pretty nice hue. A little more of the Chev Blue down into this. We may have to lighten with a little bit of white. So let's see here. Yeah, I like the hue. More. So I'm going to need more. And so we've got probably too much white there. Cut that down. White tends to dilute your colors a lot. We want our colors to stay pretty vibrant. So I try to add white in a little sparingly. Just enough to bring the value to where I want it to rest. A good bit yet. So the channel is pretty new here. I am new to YouTube, new to streaming, new to content creation, and I think it kind of shows in the channel quality. But we'll keep working at it, keep trying to improve as we go. But there are a few changes that are going to be coming to the channel here. One of them is that I really like Impressionism. And I like creating those little worlds. It's one of the things I enjoy the most, is creating the worlds and kind of telling a story as I'm creating the world. Using wet on wet and other alla prima techniques, just liking to have that painting completed in a single session. And I know my attempts at such paintings so far in this channel have been lacking. I haven't put in a lot of time in pre-generating out a composition, and my composition skills on the fly are not up to snuff. So I'm going to try to spend a little more time pre-generating a good composition before we even start painting. But I'm going to reduce the number of times that I stream each week down to 2. So I'm going to be streaming just on Wednesdays and Fridays, because I'm also continuing to study traditional painting methods, and I haven't had enough time to continue those studies as much as I would like. So I'm going to give back some of that time that I was using to study those methods to continue studying. So we'll be doing just Wednesday and Friday streams, and all those streams will be a la prima, wet on wet, and more of an impressionistic style. We're going to look at just what makes an item, an object to a viewer. What makes a goose look like a goose? What makes that goose now look like a Canadian goose versus a white, fully white goose? And leaving just the landmarks necessary to represent the image that we want the viewer to see. I don't want to be stuck just on landscapes, so we're going to be exploring some of what we can do there. I mean, I already tried a little bit with the zoo, and on my own time I've tried some sheep out in the field, and what makes a sheep a sheep. And so I want to continue to explore that on this channel, and it's where I find the most joy. And generally, if people, I used to think, gee, a channel needs to be what the audience wants to see. And as I talk to more people and more, I realize that the channel needs to be something that I enjoy, and the audience, because I enjoy it, I'll continue to do it, and the audience that enjoys that also will find me. And we'll all paint happily together. Or so is my my hope. And I need to talk to the viewers more often than I do today. I know that a lot of the time is spent watching my back, and hopefully watching the painting itself come together, but I do feel that I tend to not spend enough time then. Too dark. Engaging with you, the audience here, so I'm going to try to change that up a little bit as well. Debated adding a second camera here that I can talk to without having to turn around, and having that feed up, that view up here on this stream as well. And that might be my next step, since we won't be using references as we paint. It frees up this portion of the display for maybe a front-facing camera view. Not that my beautiful mug is what everybody wants to see more of, but the engaging talking with you will be better than talking at my back. Or so I believe, anyway. Alright, so I've mixed two values of a blue. They have the same components in them. This one has a little more of the ultramarine blue, less white. And these are going to be my lights, and then we'll have a variation from here to here, gradation. So we'll kind of step mix these together, at least one full combination, and then we'll go from there. Now I want to mix a shadow for this, and the shadows in this image are very extreme. It's very low light, and I think I even darkened the aperture a little bit to really exemplify those shadows, kind of make them stand out more. So I'm going to start with bringing down some black. This is coming out of black, but to the black we're going to add a blue, and it's going to elevate it just a tad from being a straight black and allow some of that blue. This particular Mars black is a bit based on a blue pigment anyway. If you mix it with yellow, you're going to get kind of a green. But by adding some of the more blue, we'll take a little bit of a step away from black and make it a step towards blue, and yet still be an extreme dark value. And being the surfaces are flat, and I'm not planning to represent the folds. There's two folds in this fabric. I don't believe it really adds anything to the overall image, and it's just going to distract the viewer from the bear itself. That I don't intend to represent those, so there's no real gradients, and so we don't really have a variety of values for our shadows. That's interesting. My tablet for my reference image here decided to close its screen down. Alright, so that's restored. And so you see we got a very, I mean it's very near black, but it has blue. I'm going to add a little more blue into that, I believe. This is going to be the shadows that's around the bear and on the tabletop. Then for the background, I'm going to bring down a pretty large amount of black because we've got a pretty big area to cover back in here. I'm going to step this up actually with some burnt umber and actually a little bit of permanent green and some English red. And the reason being is that it brings it up a little bit in value, so we're not looking at the abyss, straight into the abyss. We're looking at just a very dark value, but the English red and the, which I brought a bit much, and the permanent green, they're very strong tinting strengths. And they tend to push things into an also kind of a colory brown. So with that burnt umber and the black together, you see it's going to be a very dark value, almost black as well. I mean, it's going to show up as black on here as well, and especially against the white and the bear. But there's some extra light coming back out of that, reflecting back out. So it's a little more pleasing than just a straight black would be. And represents some of that extra light. There's some ambient light bouncing around in here, blues off of the tabletop, browns off of the bear, you got reds coming off of the, all at much lower intensity levels, still bouncing off of the back surface in this shadow box. So and with that, I think we'll just start. We got our shadows for the tabletop, our lights that we're going to move from the light into the lower intensity lights, and we've got our background. Hopefully I've got enough mixed up here. I always hate having to stop and remix colors, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So I'm going to pick up some of this background. I said we would start with the background first. And I'm actually not going to paint, you see I've got this border drawn in here. I'm actually going to paint clear out to the edges. I don't know what size frame this is going to end up in, and I don't want that. That was just the end of the image when I was transferring. And based on the reference, I do believe I've got this teddy bear is a little bit lighter in value than he should be. And so right now he looks kind of dark, but once this background and the darker, once all this white disappears, I think he's going to be very much lighter than he should be. I don't think it'll make for a bad painting, but it is not representing the source material, the reference, as much as I believe it should. Kind of fails in my intent, if you will. I think this has been, it's a cute little image. It's been fun to paint it along. It's just not as fun. I don't have as much as I can talk about. I'm not really creating as much of a world here. And, you know, the creation process wasn't putting together the still life. Now I'm just trying to capture it as best as can be captured, and with my skill set in the time frame that we have. Again, there's a certain mentality of take the time that it takes to capture it the best you can capture it with your skill level, because you'd rather have a painting that looks amazing rather than one that's only mediocre because you rushed it. But it doesn't make for very good performance art content. And again, that's another reason why I like the wet on wet techniques and the alla prima techniques, is that you sit down and in an hour, 90 minutes, you've created an entire world right in front of everybody, your audience. It makes much better performance art than trying to break it up over multiple days just to get a better result. And I like painting, and I like creating these worlds, and so I would rather create 10 worlds in a week rather than just a single painting. So, but I do know my skill set needs to very vastly improve so that I'm still creating what I'm going to call wall-worthy art, wall-worthy paintings. Not perfect paintings, but they're paintings that people would love to have displayed on their wall. And that's kind of what my goal is going to be in this channel going forward, is going to be in under 90 minutes creating wall-worthy artworks. And I still would love for you to paint along. That's kind of one of the advantages of live streams. We can interact a little bit, or even the videos after the fact, they're there. You can paint along at your own pace and have fun, because ultimately that's why I'm painting. It's a bit of my hobby right now. After I get hours and hours into painting, hopefully my skill set improves to the point that I can start providing a bit of an income from it. But all along the way, I want to be having fun. I want to be creating. And I'm going to drop down to a number 6 brush to complete. I guess I didn't explain, I did pick up a number 10 filbert for the majority of the background back here. But when I get close to the objects, I tend to like to drop down at least one brush size. I find the number 6 brush is a pretty good brush. Stiffness wise, for creating cleaner edges. The number 10 bristles are just far enough out there that they tend to move more, and I feel like my control is less within my grasp. So I apologize if you've joined this channel for the paint along references, for direct painting techniques, but I feel that the growth in the direction I want to go isn't happening with the way I've currently structured my channel, and that while I continue to study those techniques, because all the same components are actually present in even the Impressionist paintings, you still have to manage your values and your shadows and your edges, just in a slightly different way. Rather than trying to capture the realism, you're trying to capture the indication and letting the brain fill in the details. The brain of the viewer fill in the details. You know, when you're painting realism, you're kind of not leaving a whole lot to the imagination. Impressionism tries to do the opposite. Minimum amount of landmarks necessary to convey and let the imagination fill in all the blanks. And I find that appealing. Already I can feel my throat starting to get a little phlegm in there. So I pardon my clearing my throat. Gonna try to make these a little more real too. I'm probably gonna have right now I don't have anything I can grab quick to wet my throat from the talking. I'm gonna make sure that I get some kind of a drink nearby to help in these situations, because nobody wants to sit here and listen to me clear my throat over and over. So if you're watching along, are you yourself a painter? Do you paint? Do you like painting? Or are you just here wanting to watch this process and enjoy the emerging of a painting coming to life? Alright, so we're getting more of this background filled in. I don't know if it's starting to have the effect yet of lightening the appearance of the bear yet. It should be around the rose a bit. It's at least probably amplifying where I have not painted in the background around that rose. I've got some lines in here that aren't going to be, they were misplaced when I did my transfer. So I'm just going to paint right over those. Alright, so let's get the number 6 brush in play here. Let's see if we can get this flat. That's better. Alright, so we're up along the edge here. One of the things I think that's important in this, well, in any profession, is to know your place, know what you actually are capable of and what you're not capable of, and where you need to focus and improve. To achieve the direction you're trying to achieve. You know, just because you're not the best person out there at drawing off the fly, there's so many types of drawing, there's so many types of art. And everybody seems to get their own little niche and defend it. Take pride in it, but then they sometimes discredit all the other forms of art as inferior because they aren't interested in them or just don't have a grasp of them. And I always find that frustrating. Just enjoy the art you can do, know where you stand. Don't listen to people that are naysaying and telling you your art's no good. Because there's so many types of art, and art is one of those things that's kind of in the eye of the beholder. The person that's looking at the image is actually who sees the art or doesn't see the art. Yeah, there's intent, and there's what you intended to do and what story you're trying to tell, what voice you're trying to give your art. And maybe your voice is just representing the beauty that was of that one sunset that one day, or sunsets in general are beautiful. Landscapes are beautiful, and they have a broad appeal to people. Most people can relate to a pretty landscape. Does that mean it's better than or less better than anime drawings or manga? No, it's just different. And different people like different things. And different people have different skill sets associated with those things they like or don't like. And this comment's kind of in regards to a comment I received the other day about not being able to draw because I was painting in a wet on wet landscape style. I was like, well, yeah, drawing isn't the point of this type. That has nothing to do with whether I can draw or not. I can draw from life, but I am not at all a good figure drawer. My skills do not lie with drawing figures yet. Especially different poses and different perspectives. Things I intend to work on over time, but based on the art that I like to make, isn't really a priority. So one day I'll probably improve there, but I'm not gonna fret it if I don't, because quite frankly, it's not the art that I want to make. Let's see here. But yes, my goal with this channel is to be able to create wall-worthy art in about less than 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes. Not wasting anybody's time, so if you're painting along, I do want you to have a wall-worthy piece of art when you finish. And I look back at the paintings I've done so far, and they do not exactly fit that profile. So that's where I've got to improve. And I can start first by coming to the easel with a composition in mind, one that I've already thumbnailed out. I have a pretty good idea that I like the components and the arrangement of them. So that's my goal going forward here. And over time, then my technical execution of those compositions should improve. And if you're already technically skilled at this process, yours will be even better than mine. That'll be wonderful. Because I don't have to be the best. I just have to enjoy what I'm doing here. So if you're painting along, be careful of your edges here. It's painting, you can make mistakes, you can fix your mistakes. It's not the end of the world if you make them, but it costs you time. And time is the one thing that you don't get more of in this world. So you don't want to be going wasting much time. Just going to finish up around the petals here. And I apologize for getting in front of the camera and blocking the view, but got to be where I can see what strokes I'm laying down, or it kind of defeats the purpose if I can't see what I'm painting. It certainly isn't going to turn out real great. I'm amazed at the people that can make beautiful paintings when they're blind even, but they've worked out a method of knowing where their strokes are going down, what colors they have on their brush, and what they're painting. And they can keep it in their mind as they're going along. It's quite impressive. Me, I'm not there yet, so don't expect, I hopefully never have to be there. But find yourself in those situations, overcoming those adversities is great. Very commendable. I'm just trying to lay my brush strokes evenly here. Kind of clean up any extra paint laying around. When I first started painting, it was so difficult for me to not leave a ridge along my edges. But with experience and time, practice, that's been greatly reduced. I won't say I don't ever do it, but it's far more manageable now than it used to be. Alright. That rose kind of really stands out now. You can see a bit more of its form, a bit more of the subtlety in the surface of the petals. Because it was all so light to begin with, it was hard to see against that white a lot of the subtlety. Now that there's contrast there, your eyes can pick it up better. And I know I've said this on other paintings, but if you're going along and you're having trouble getting your brush in there at these angles, you can always turn your painting around. turn it upside down, turn it on its side. Make your attack edge always, like for me left-handed, painting along these left side edges is usually easier than trying to paint the right side edges. I don't do it here, one, because I do stand to paint. I have a little better ability to move my hand around, but basically it doesn't make as good of a view, and it takes time away from putting paint down. And so I don't do it myself for the streams in front of the camera. And I'm kind of just dabbing the paint here along the edge because I want the edge to stay somewhat fluffed. So I don't want a smooth edge. Trying to give it that soft, little soft defend edge. These are fabric pillows. They don't have a hard fabric pillow and a furry teddy bear. They don't exactly have a hard edge. And I'll try to smooth out the brush strokes in here even. Get those brush strokes kind of smooth. Some people have a style where they like to border everything. And I give it, it's a unique look, but it's not one that I particularly prefer. I think some styles end up being, well, if you can't beat it, join it. Take that thing that's always bothered you and turn it into a strength. And kind of own it and make it your own. And that's commendable if you can pull that off. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to repeat it again in case you missed it and weren't here earlier. There's a few changes coming to the channel here. We're going to reduce the number of times we stream down to just 2 a week. So we're going to do streams on Wednesday and Friday. Same time right now. 6:30 Eastern time. I think that's currently like 4 UTC, or yeah, 4 hours different from UTC. But I think after our daylight savings time ends, it's going to be 5 hours before UTC time, so And we're going to switch to just painting impressionistic a la prima paintings using various wet on wet techniques. It's not always going to be Bob Ross styles or Bill Alexander style, if you will, but exploring what we can do with various wet on wet techniques and various a la prima, even direct painting in parts. So basically, as we learn more technical skills, we get to add more tools to the toolbox. And so you can still put in some detail, but you have to pick and choose which detail, mostly laying in landmarks for people to let their mind complete and identify the objects based on just enough information to tell you what they are. And it's a study that I don't have a lot of experience with, so we're going to kind of have to grow together in that skill set. But it makes the channel about one specific thing rather than this, 3 different types of painting throughout the week. It kind of gets distracting and hard to follow along with. You never really, you know what's coming up, but it may not be a type of painting you're interested in, and so it doesn't add value to you anyway. If really what you want to see is wet on wet painting, then that's what you're going to expect to see going forward, rather than, oh, well, today's stream's direct painting, today's streams are black and white. That's just not helpful. If you know me in person, one of the things I tend to do is overanalyze everything, so that's part of where this is coming from. I've been putting a lot of thought into what am I doing here, what do I need to do to improve, and consistency of topics is one of them, but consistency of being here is another. But if I really want to do a la prima painting, then that really needs to be what I'm focusing on, or my skills aren't going to grow in that area. So only spending 1/3 of my time doing that type of painting is not the answer to progression. And the same thing's for you. If that's what you're here for, only seeing it 1/3 of the time is not fulfilling your needs either. But I am looking forward to having this one wrapped up. I think it's a cute little painting. Like I said, when I first started this painting, it would make a great gift to a significant other. And for the right price, it would even be one that people would buy for a significant other if you had it offered for sale. What I don't know is if that price includes actually valuing your time, and if not, then there's not much point in really selling it. Selling your time at a discount allows you to buy more materials, I suppose, but really devalues your skill and work that you put into it. Just painting here in front of you, this is coming up on 4th week of about an hour and a half of painting on it. So we're at 6 hours. Not including materials, not including setup time. Actually setting up the still life, photographing it. How much is my time worth for this one? Because that's another thing artists tend to forget, is all the other time they have into running their businesses. That all has to be paid for as well. It needs to be added into your time of cost of your work, what your time is worth. If you've got a couple hours into planning the painting, making sketches and thumbnails, that's all timed towards creating that final work. It needs to be accounted for when you're setting your commission prices, or your price of your artwork when you go to sell them at your art shows. And don't sell yourself too short, but also make sure your skills are there to make enough your time valuable enough for people to want your results at the price you need to sell them for. I did. Okay. For a minute there I thought I did not switch back to the number 10 brush, but I did. So we're alright. It's really easy to forget to step up a brush size when you get into the area that you could. If you get that brush in your hand, you just keep going and find out you've wasted some time where you could have used a larger brush to accomplish the same thing in a little less time. And we're back to that time thing again. Finish this off here. Yeah, I think these individual strokes are showing up. You can see the difference in the results when I ever so lightly go over these. But it changes the look of the painting. Brings things a more consistency. Otherwise people are looking at these weird various angles of your brush strokes that don't add. They're not there to not adding anything to the painting. You can use your brush strokes to add things to the painting, but when the brush strokes themselves are not adding things to the painting, it's better to do your best to at least make them all consistently uniform. It's yet another form of art. The art of the brushstroke itself, telling information, conveying information. And one I've certainly not mastered. Alright, now let's switch to the tabletop now. And I'm going to switch to a separate set of brushes altogether for the lights. For the shadows, I'm actually going to use the same number 6 brush. I'm going to clean a little bit of the paint off, but our paints mixes for the shadows are pretty close. You know, this one doesn't have the red in it or the green, it's just got blue and black. So we'll try to clean off some of that off of our brush before we pick up. So I'm cleaning off my brush here. You can see there's not much paint on there now. And then we're going to pick up our shadows for... I lost it again. Just a little bit here. That kind of appeared like a missed spot when I did the background, but it actually was the tabletop shadow and not the background. So it got painted separate. Little things like that attention to detail changes your final painting result. And if you aren't a painter yet and would like to be painting, or if you do paint but would like your skills to improve, I can only recommend the Evolve Artist program. It's work at your own pace, online learning. But by online learning, that's just your interface videos for instruction. You actually do the assignments on your own easel, your own paintings, and you take the photographs and submit them back to the instructors, and they give you direct feedback, things you may have missed, ways to improve. You can set up one-on-one video conference meetings with several of the instructors. They can answer all your questions, give you encouragement, and grow your confidence. It's a great program. It's well worth, if you can invest the time, the money is well worth it. But you have to be willing to commit the time. It's like 350 hours to complete the first fundamentals, which will get you to a good long ways on oil painting. You'll be able to achieve professional level results on realistic paintings, portraits, and otherwise by that point. You'll still have room to grow, and there's an advanced blocks program that I'm currently enrolled in that teaches you additional techniques to improve your results even further. And save more of your time along the way. And that's not a paid advertisement. I'm just one of their students that was very impressed with the program. It really delivers on its promises and opens up a whole new world to people. So you can check that out at evolveartist.com if you're interested. That's the traditional studies I'm continuing to work on here, that I'm freeing up time for because I've really stunted my progress in the advanced program by spending so much time on live streams, because I only have about 16 hours a week that I can actually paint right now. I'm gonna have to guess where this rose goes. Because it ran out of the picture frame. I'm just going to extend this shadow up, I think. Because I still intend to do a good portion of realism and commission work in realism. I want to do portraitures for family and friends, and I have a friend that's asking me to do a commission work for a painting. He's from Nepal and has some photographs of his hometown area that he would like to have painted. that he can put on his wall, reminiscent of where he came from. And I'm looking forward to being able to do that. I just feel right now the amount of time it would take to, he wants a fairly large format painting, and I need more handle on some of these advanced techniques that would make doing a painting that size more practical, so I don't have to charge him so much for my to cover the time that I'm going to have invested. And I want to make sure I can get the result that he's looking for in the most reasonable time that I can. Getting these shadows finished in here, and then we'll soon be starting the lights, and that's always exciting. Getting the last bit of the painting put together. If you're on YouTube, whether looking around, you can search for Evolve Artist. They have a few streams of their own where they've done some amazing works over several weeks. They have pretty much at least a weekly live stream. But you can go check out all the pre-recorded ones over on their channel. Showing the techniques that you will learn in the program, and the results that you can achieve with those techniques. Pretty stunning work. Alright, we're getting much closer to being ready to drop in these lights and really get this painting wrapped up. And then we'll let it dry, we'll give it a good varnish, and we'll see if anybody's interested in it. I'm always amazed at the difference in the subtleties of how hard and soft edges are, and how someone can touch the canvas, you watch them, it doesn't appear that they're doing anything, but then they step back and you're like, wow, it really made a difference, even though you didn't really see how they did it. you watched them do it, but you didn't exactly see what they did. And suddenly the painting is that much better, and you're like, that is crazy. Not sure you're getting much of that here, because but it's an interesting phenomenon when it happens. Alright. So I'm going to paint the tabletop in with solid colors, kind of grading from light to dark. And then I will add the pattern in on top. So we're going to switch brushes. Now I'm going to probably number 10, clean number 10 brush. And I'm going to set this up so that I can see it better. And see kind of where our light's is lightest. Right along in here. And we got to bring this clear down as well. Again, I don't know where that frame is going to come, how deep of a frame it is, and I don't want that white border. Ourselves. Just bring this right up to that shadow. And we're going to start getting a little bit darker in this area here, so I'm going to pull this around. It sends, the shadow lampshade is round, so you're going to see kind of a round pattern of light. Kind of cut off that roundness around here, I think. So we'll get this focused light was here. So we'll just put this in. But if you continue to follow along, we're probably, we won't be using as much of the evolve technique, direct painting techniques. though we're definitely using the fundamentals learned in the program and evaluating how shadows should be placed, how edges should be placed. We just have to master the technique and actually accomplishing the placement as we intend. Now I'm going to bring this over a little bit here. I'm going to start picking up some of our darker blue and bring into this mix, so that we end up with a value that's between the two. I'm going to start just take this one up to here. Stream kind of blipped there. Hope it wasn't, hope we didn't lose anybody along the way. Huh. Seems to be that we're having connection issues here. You can see it flipping on and off. That we're not connected, and then we're back connected again. And hopefully it's not messing up the stream too bad. Hopefully it's buffered well enough that it continues to bring you along for the ride. Definitely one of the downsides of not having a person able to monitor the camera and the stream and stuff. There's been several streams now where we've had issues and something has dropped out that I haven't been able to pick up on because I'm at the easel here painting. So I just have to hope for the best sometimes, and when I glance over to check on things, hopefully things look good. And I'm going to go right into the darker blue. I'm just going to put that back in here. I'm trying to work right up to that edge. Try not to get into the edge too much till I get clear back, because it will pull it down. A little bit more of this paint here. Work our way up into it. It's gonna blend in there. We're just gonna pull this down. Alright, so I'm gonna clean off some of that paint. We're gonna, back into the blues. Try to blend out this transition here. Blend this a little bit here, soften this up some. This is going to set this edge back a little bit further into the painting. At least that's the idea. Clean off the brush a little bit there. I need to pick up more of this. Starting from this side. How are we doing on time? 7:40. Let's see how this goes. And get this edge nice and close. A little bit, my eye's blurring there a little bit. It's not good. This area I am going to use number 6. And maybe even just a number 2 to get along these edges. There's little things we can do to help set these shadows in space. I'll see if I can represent that for us here today. But it has to do with that edge sharpness. We're going to soften the edges around the shadow as it's further from the bear. I'm going to bring a little bit of black, a little bit of the shadow value in here. We're going to start stepping closer to shadow. What's happened here is that it's actually fell out of our light cone. And so it's mostly reflected light back in here. Kind of lifting some of that paint right off the surface. Alrighty then, so we're getting this right along the shadow. And pick up a little more of that here. Alright, so let's get this all blended in, soften the edges around those shadows. We'll lay in the pattern that's on the fabric. We'll wrap this painting up. Pushing this paint around. All right. On these transitions. Alright. Let's blend this one. All right. So now we just need to, looks like we can blend this out here a little better. And we're going to then soften our shadow edges a little bit more. Alright, so take this number 6 brush. I see we've got some brush strokes in here. Are causing it to show different on the... Now we're going to soften these edges up here. And it's just a little bit, it's not a lot. Ever so lightly. Alexa's right along that edge. Barely bending those bristles. A little bit bigger strokes as we get further away from the front of the image. Establish our brush strokes in here. Fuzz these up just a little bit back in here. A little bit back over here. Looks like I got some blue to lay out there and clean that up a little bit. Need to soften this edge here where the table and the background meet. Push that back as well. And we're going to ask ourselves if that pattern is going to add much to the painting or not. I kind of think I like it the way it is. After all, the subject is the bear. I'm not sure that the tablecloth really would add much of anything to it. So I think we're going to stop there. We're going to call this one done. I'm going to get some paint on the brush and we'll sign it. Let's sign it with a little bit of white in here. Alright. I always like signing my paintings. Would be nice if it was a little bit shorter name, but I like my name, so we'll just have to deal with the time it takes. And the year. I always like to keep track of when it was made, so that I can go back and compare the progression over time. There we are. Thank you for joining me today. On Friday we will be doing some alla prima work. It's going to be more of a colorful painting, not really a landscape. We're going to try a few elements here. I'm going to practice some evergreen tree designs in multiple colors. So it's going to be a bit of an experiment. Should be fun and enjoyable, and we'll have a good time there. I hope you enjoyed painting along with this one. I hope you enjoy the result we achieved today. Well, throughout this last month. Nice little painting you could give to a loved one. And I hope you continue to follow along. If you like this video, please click the like button, and if you want to follow for more, be sure to subscribe. If you have anything, comments, feedback to offer, or if you painted along and would like to post a link to your own version of this painting, that would be awesome. So please do so. And remember, don't be hard on yourself, just keep painting.